I'm Azrienoch, this is XDA TV, and you don't know it, but douchebags are the perfect remedy for people who are full of It's week 49 of 2011. Forums were added for the Lenovo Thinkpad, the LG Nitro HD, and we moved a bunch of devices over to the legacy forums, just in case you were wondering where your device forum went. Also, we added a job listings forum to the marketplace. And the first job listed is for a software engineer to develop the Skype app for Windows Phone. Lastly, your XDA profile now has designated links for Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. Next up, Cyanogen let us know how things were going with Cyanogenmod 9, saying it's a little tricky because of the changes Google made for Ice Cream Sandwich. Speaking of which, a couple of Google engineers explained hardware acceleration and why the Android UI is laggy. The reason is in how iOS and Windows Phone queue operations, while Android just tackles everything all at once. The example they gave is, if you load a web page on, say, the iPhone, and you put your finger on it, iOS stops loading the page and puts everything into rendering the graphics while you move your finger around. As soon as you lift your finger up, the web page starts loading again. On Android, the web page doesn't stop loading. It tries to handle all of that at once. So it's faster at loading web pages, but laggier movement. And improved hardware acceleration helps things, but older devices need a lot more attention before they get the Ice Cream Sandwich update. Onward! The purity of the Nexus line is, well, I was gonna say it's gone, but Verizon hasn't exactly released the Galaxy Nexus yet, have they? But once they do, Google Wallet will be replaced by their own program called ISIS. It's a program that does the exact same thing as Google Wallet, except it's owned by Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Verizon says that they're not blocking Google Wallet, it's simply incompatible. Let me give an analogy. I have a heart. Yes. It's at least literally true. My literal heart is working just fine. But because I make these videos for XDA, XDA saw fit to give me a heart transplant. They gave me a heart that they own. Now, you can still find videos of me without my XDA heart, but for some reason, only when I am making videos for XDA, my original heart is incompatible with my body. Or so says XDA. Now, no, XDA didn't really do that. That was only an analogy, but Verizon did. Analogously. Google, please make the GSM SIM-unlocked Galaxy Nexus available in the US as soon as possible. It's hard to vote with our dollars if we had no other alternative. Last thing for this week, HP announced that they're open sourcing WebOS. I think it's a good move. WebOS wasn't going anywhere. Nobody would buy it. And until now, nobody could put it on their devices except for HP. The thing is, I don't think anyone's going to anyway. Even now. Yes, this opens up the possibility, which, again, wasn't there before, but I just don't think it's going to happen. While our community and independent development in general thrives on open source, the relationship companies have with it is a little bit different. Open source is like an elephant's graveyard for proprietary software. And I really like that imagery of an elephant's graveyard. These old lumbering giants slowly trudging toward the place where they're going to die. Every elephant dreams of running away with the circus to become famous. But that never happens. Instead, this last resting spot is their reward for avoiding every poacher that came along. WebOS is on its way, just like Netscape. And we are some sort of buzzard, picking the bones. Anyway, why do I think that open sourcing WebOS won't save it? First, it needs manufacturers. If WebOS isn't on devices out of the box, it's going to stay within a specialized community until hardware advances make it obsolete. And right now, if manufacturers want a sort of open source operating system, they have Android. Not that Android is better, but it is certainly more widely used and better supported. Manufacturers are well invested in Android, and a move to make a WebOS phone is a move to abandon Android. Now, Samsung is looking into Bada OS and collaborating with Intel to make Tizen, because Android is, simply put, under attack by competing patents. So it's possible that WebOS could take its place. But right now it looks like the companies are willing to pay the licensing fees. On top of all that, if they're going to abandon Android and put all their effort into a new operating system, it'll be Windows. I know that's not a popular opinion, but look, even HP said that they won't be making hardware for WebOS. They'll be focusing on Windows 8. Our mobile devices are moving further and further toward replacing our desktops and laptops. And that's what people want, especially if they have to pay as much as they do for a new computer. When Windows 8 hits stores, I predict the almost instantaneous death of Android tablets. Sure, Windows may generally suck, but the fact that I can use a lot of my desktop programs on my tablet is a huge selling point. Windows 8 phones, I hear, will be the same operating system with a few features disabled, so Android phones could go the same way as Android tablets. The new quad-core processors are desktop class, but Android has quite a long way to go before it is a desktop-class operating system. And WebOS is even further behind in that race than Android, so I just can't see a successful future for WebOS. It'll enter open source, be picked clean for stuff that we can stick in Android, because we're buzzards like that, and that's it. And it's the moral of the news this week. T.S. Eliot was right. This is the way WebOS ends. This is the way WebOS ends. Not with a bang, but with a whimper. And no, I'm not paraphrasing. T.S. Eliot actually said that. Again, I'm Azrienoch, and this is XDA TV.